Beef tenderloin is probably one of the most intimidating beef roasts to make at home. Not because it's difficult, but because it's expensive. And the thought of messing it up can be a little terrifying. But this is my promise to you. I have worked through all the kinks, and this recipe guarantees you perfect results every single time. The reason beef tenderloin is such a pricey cut is because it's essentially 8 to 10 filet mignons stacked right on top of the other. As you probably know, filet mignon is an extremely tender cut of beef, and it's worth every single penny. When you go to the butcher's counter, keep these two things in mind. You want prime beef and you want a center cut tenderloin, not the tail. When I mentioned earlier that this is an easy cut to prepare, I meant it. You're gonna start by patting the beef, then you're gonna drizzle it with oil, season it, and truss it. That's it. So let's get started with the recipe. We're gonna pat the loin dry. Moving on to the seasoning mix. I prefer freshly ground pepper for beef tenderloin. It really does make a difference, and you can find spice grinders at the store for as little as $15 to $20. So I'm gonna start by grinding my peppercorns. Just into the grinder, and you'll just pulse it a few times just until you've got like a medium grind going. I'll measure out 3 tablespoons of black peppercorns and 1 tablespoon of kosher salt. Now we're just gonna mix it together. Drizzle the tenderloin with oil. You can use avocado or canola oil for this. And now we're gonna rub that salt and pepper mix all over. I like to do this in a rimmed sheet pan so that it catches any loose seasoning that falls off. Looking good. Now it's time to truss the tenderloin, and this is going to be the easiest trussing you've ever done. You can see how the tenderloin starts to kind of taper down in this direction. What we want to do is truss the fat end of the tenderloin so that it's more uniform in shape with the tapered end. This is gonna promote even cooking. So I'm just gonna take a few pieces of string here, butcher's twine to be more specific, and I'm just going to wrap them around the tenderloin. Next, we're going to move the tenderloin to a rack. Now, I've already baked a tenderloin for us, and I'm gonna show you how to serve that in just a minute. But I also wanted to show you a little hack. Not everybody has a roasting rack, and if you don't have a roasting rack, you can still make this recipe. You can just use an oven-safe cooling rack inside of a rimmed baking sheet. Place your tenderloin right on top in the center, and then we're gonna bake that at 425 degrees. So it's almost time for the tenderloin to go into the oven. But if there is one thing that you should keep in mind when it comes to making beef tenderloin, it's this. Do not judge your cook time based on weight. The shape of the tenderloin is just as important. Some tenderloins are a little more narrow than others. And if you have a thick tenderloin versus a narrow tenderloin, the narrow tenderloin, even if it's equal in weight, is going to cook way faster than a thicker cut tenderloin. So that being said, do not cook beef tenderloin unless you have a thermometer on hand. It is the only way to really gauge what temperature your beef is at. And here is the foolproof way to do it. Before you put your beef tenderloin in the oven, you need to have a goal temperature in mind. So whether you want it medium rare, medium, or medium well, you need to figure out what your exact desired temperature is and then subtract 10 degrees from that. The reason for this is because your beef tenderloin is going to continue to cook even after it comes out of the oven. So if you pull your beef tenderloin at 135 degrees for a perfect medium rare, it's gonna end up more of a medium. So here's the safe time zone. We're gonna put our beef tenderloin in the oven at 425 degrees and we're gonna roast it for 35 to 40 minutes. Then we're gonna gauge the temperature, See how close we are to our ideal temperature, and we're gonna add 6 to 10 minutes to the cook time beyond that. So now it's time to pop this in the oven, and I'm gonna show you how to serve it up special for a party or for Christmas dinner. So here we have a picture perfect roasted beef tenderloin. I'm just gonna snip off the strings here. Perfect. And then I'm gonna show you how to slice it if you're serving it for a Christmas dinner or if you're serving it at a Christmas party. If you're cutting the tenderloin for a Christmas dinner, you wanna cut it into medallions. So we're looking at about 1 inch to just over an inch thick fillets. If we're cutting the tenderloin for a Christmas party, we're gonna stretch it a little further and we're gonna slice it as thin as we possibly can. Just kind of shaving it right down. Okay, so there you have it. Perfect beef tenderloin for a Christmas dinner. And now I'm gonna show you my favorite way to plate it up. So here we have a platter on top of a platter. On the big platter down below, I've got some baguettes that I've just sliced and toasted up, surrounded by some arugula. On the little platter, we're gonna add our shaved beef tenderloin, just like so. For our platter, we're also going to make a creamy horseradish sauce, which is just as easy as the beef tenderloin. You're just gonna add equal parts sour cream and horseradish to a bowl. Add a pinch of salt and a pinch of pepper, and then stir it all together. And last, I'm gonna do a little shaving of Parmesan just right over the arugula. And this is how you eat it. You're gonna go baguette with a thin slice of the beef tenderloin, a little topping of arugula and a hit of Parmesan, and a little dollop of the horseradish cream sauce. Whether you're using this recipe as a Christmas hors d'oeuvre or a Christmas dinner entree, this beef tenderloin is a dish your guests will never forget. If you liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe at our YouTube channel, The Anthony Kitchen, and at theanthonykitchen.com. We'll catch you next time.